The next question, the member for Ottawa Centre.
Thank you, Speaker. My question's for the Premier, but for folks tuning in and folks in the House, I'm just going to warn people my question's about gender-based violence. Speaker, people in Ottawa have been mourning the loss of Brkti Berhe, a 36-year-old mother who was stabbed to death in a local park in the south end of our city in broad daylight in front of her children. This heinous act was committed by a man known to Brkti. She was helping her auntie end a violent, troubled relationship with this man. And for that, she was targeted and killed. The Ottawa police have labeled this heinous act the femicide, the second our city has had in 2 months. But, Speaker, no one should die for helping a loved one leave a violent home. Victim services experts are telling me that this tragedy sadly could have been avoided. Will the government commit to working with those experts so this never happens again?
Minister of Children, Community and Social Services.
Mr. Speaker, our government has been very clear, Mr. Speaker. We want to make sure that all the victims and all their families and all the survivors have access to the supports that they need, Mr. Speaker, which is why we are working with our municipal partners, with the federal government, to make sure that those supports are accessible so that every single person in their communities is working with, whether it's the victim services, whether it's the local service providers, which is why we announced Ontario Stands, Ontario's action plan to end gender-based violence in all forms in this province, Mr. Speaker. We back that up by substantial investment, $1.4 billion over 3 years, to make sure our community partners and members have access to those supports. Mr. Speaker, we're also working with the federal government. We signed on the National Action Plan to end gender-based violence that provides an additional $162 million so that every survivor, every victim has the supports they need, Mr. Speaker, in their communities across the province, because, Mr. Speaker, no woman or girl in this province should ever have to live with fear of persecution or violence in our communities.
Supplementary question.
Speaker, I thank the member for his response, but I want to return to the incident I'm raising this morning, because Brkti was trying to help her auntie leave a violent relationship. But that courageous act of bystander intervention, it can't be based on individuals alone. It needs public support. Brkti needed culturally appropriate public services in languages and capacity available that would work to keep her auntie, herself, and her children safe. And we have failed that family, sadly. People need help to leave these relationships. And when that help is needed, it has to be prompt, culturally appropriate, and well-funded. There used to be a fund in this province that would help people up to an amount of $20,000 to find legal help, to move, and to get out of violent homes. That fund no longer exists. Women's shelters and support workers for those shelters, I believe, Speaker, they deserve to be funded just as much as our hospitals, because they are critical in keeping us safe. To stop the femicides, Speaker, and to honor Brkti today, will the government commit to making sure those funds get to the front line so no one, as the minister just said, ever has to worry about leaving a violent home?
Members will please take their seats. The Associate Minister of Women's Social and Economic Opportunity. Order.
Mr. Speaker, you know, as my colleague said, we will never, ever waver in making sure we are investing in the organizations and programs who support women and ensure keeping women safe. Mr. Speaker, a total of $1.4 billion is invested through our government to these organizations. We've increased the funding to the Assaulted Women's Helpline, Mr. Speaker, and I'm going to say that number on camera so that every woman has this number. It's 1-866-863-0511.
Order.
Now, the members opposite might scoff and laugh at these concrete strategies that we're doing to help keep women safe, but we're going to continue to invest, as well as programs that are culturally sensitive and help women who are, regardless of where they come from, like the Women's Economic Security Program. I announced $26.7 million across Ontario so that women can get wraparound supports and all of the resources needed so that they can help rebuild their lives and free violence permanently, Mr. Speaker. We're going to continue to do this work because we know that women are the future and women are the heart of a community, of a family, and of Ontario. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much.